Hey there. So I have some comments on the first discussion that we had about writing as a form of social action. I took some notes after I read the discussion throughout, and I wanted to first compliment you on the depth of your commentary and the excellent way that you responded to each other and the sort of wealth of different types of examples that you use. So good job. Um, One of the things that I thought was interesting was the varying types um, uh, of writing as social action. I guess that's not really a good way to put it. Maybe the better way to put it is the different types of actions that writing can accomplish. So I wanted to sort of summarize those, the threads that I saw in the conversation. For instance, I saw you using examples about using writing as a way to get things done. James, in his example of the string of burglaries in his neighborhood and using email to sort that out, I think was a good example of that. Ryan also gave an example of the pro wrestler spoilers and the way that writing then changed the situation. Because people had shared those spoilers online, that changed the whole situation, which then set in motion a chain of events which led the organizers to change the match up. Um, Molly used an example of a memoir published by a woman from Cambodia, and I thought that this was an example of using writing as a way to educate people, to share facts, to help people understand a situation they maybe don't understand. And maybe writing to educate becomes then prior to writing to motivate people to do something. You could maybe see Nicholas Kristof's pieces, the ones that I assigned for this discussion, as examples of that. Um, and many of you mentioned the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King, which of course is on all of our minds. And I thought that that was an example of using writing as a way to rally and inspire and perhaps mobilize people. Um, uh, Someone else added, I'm sorry I didn't get the name in the discussion, but someone else added that sometimes writing is used to anger or to provoke people. And I thought even though they are opposite effects, that they are in some ways linked. Um, One thing I thought that was interesting is to think about how sometimes for pieces of writing, the effect that they have on a social scene it can be delayed. So, for instance, the Diary of Anne Frank was probably not written to have an effect on a whole bunch of people. Rather, it was written, for the purposes that we write diaries. Perhaps it would have been shared with her intimates, her children or something like that. But she surely could not have imagined that it would become a public document in the way that it has been. So sometimes the effects of writing can be delayed, and they can still have powerful effects long after the original intention. I think I heard a radio program about the I Have a Dream speech, and apparently King worked very hard on that speech long into the night, but then he departed from the text that he had written. And I think he knew, partly because of the events of the Civil Rights Movement, that document might have effects long beyond the original delivery of this speech. And indeed, I think that it does. It symbolizes lots of things in our culture and in our politics and in our democracy. Um, let's see. Jason noted how important it was to share writing, and then that's how it creates its social effects. And I think one way to think about sharing is, I mean, that can seem like a sort of hand-to-hand, face-to-face, intimate kind of sharing, but we have many, many different ways to share writing, including highly public ones and more intimate ones. And finally, several of you noted Facebook and other social media, such as blogs, as a way of types of writing that can cause social action. And some of you said, I hate to say it, but Facebook. But I actually think Facebook is quite remarkable in this regard. It can be used for effects ranging from the trivial to the quite profound. One last thing that I wanted to note, Destiny said, with writing we are able to transform our thoughts. And she went on to talk about how putting writing in the public sphere transforms our thoughts into a kind of action. I think that's a great way to sort of sum up the effects of this discussion. Anyway, very nice work, everyone. A good discussion, and I really appreciate all your efforts.